The Galactic Council betrayed Earth and the galaxy. Watched humanity deploy, it all began with a betrayal hidden beneath false promises. The skies above Earth were quiet that night. From her window, Leah stared at the stars. Each one seemed like a memory bright, far away and silent. She missed them. Not just the stars, but what they meant. She missed the voice of Tolan, her closest friend. He was from the planet Valor, a gentle species with blue skin and kind hearts. Tolan had been Earth's first alien exchange diplomat. For 3 years, he lived on Earth and worked alongside Laia and the Science Corps. They studied planetary healing and shared stories of their homes. They laughed, worked, and sometimes sat in silence, simply looking up together. But everything changed after the council meeting. Earth had gone to the Galactic Council expecting progress. Earth had followed every rule, signed every treaty, and shared every breakthrough with trust. But that day, in a cold chamber surrounded by tall, glowing leaders from across the stars, Earth was removed. No explanation. It's just a quiet decision made without them. Tolan didn't even get to say goodbye. The council sent him away. All alien personnel were told to leave Earth within days. Leah remembered standing at the shuttle bay, watching him board. He had looked back once, his eyes full of something heavy, maybe sadness, maybe apology, but he said nothing. That silence followed Laia everywhere now. She felt distant, like she was floating alone in space. Even when she walked through the spacefront labs, surrounded by scientists and new energy, something felt missing. Her team talked about new missions and Earth's big plan to build arc ships. But Laia kept remembering the time when the galaxy felt smaller, warmer. When friendship didn't need walls, she opened her old messages. All of them were one-sided. She had sent recordings to Tolan's soft greetings, short updates, even jokes. But none were answered. They probably never reached him. The council had blocked Earth's signals after the betrayal. Maybe he forgot me, Laia whispered, her voice barely louder than the hum of the station around. But her heart didn't believe it. No, Tolan wouldn't forget. She stared at the stars again. Somewhere out there, he was looking at the same sky. That thought lit a small spark in her chest. Hope Leah stood up. She didn't know how to reach him, but she could still do something. She walked to the communications lab. The room was empty, filled with blinking lights and quiet machines. She sat down and began recording. "Hi, Tolan," she said gently. "I don't know if this will reach you. Maybe it won't, but I wanted to try. I don't understand why the council did what they did. I don't even know if you had a choice in leaving, but I miss you." Her voice shook, but she didn't stop. "You once told me that stars are just suns waiting to be found. You said the galaxy feels big until someone lights a path, so I'm trying to be that light just in case you're looking." She paused. "Still believe in everything we talked about healing, helping others, building bridges. We're starting something new here, Tolan. Earth is launching the arc ship soon. We're going to help the forgotten planets. We're not stopping just because we were pushed away. We're not angry. We're just still here, still trying. Just like you taught me." She smiled softly. "If you ever hear this, know that Earth still remembers you. I still remember you." She sent the message. She didn't know if it would ever arrive, but it felt right. Days passed, and weeks. One morning, as Laia walked into the lab, she saw a blinking light on the console. Incoming message. From Valor Space, she froze. Her heart beat fast. She opened the file. "It was audio only, Laia," said the voice Tolan. "I heard you." She gasped and sat down slowly. "The council banned your signals, but some of us still listen. I'm sorry I left without a word. I wasn't allowed to speak, but not a day goes by that I don't remember Earth, that I don't remember you. I miss our skies, our walks, your smile." There was a long pause. Then, "Don't stop. Keep lighting the path. I'll find you again." The message ended. Leah sat quietly for a long time, tears in her eyes. She wasn't alone. The council had tried to silence Earth, but humanity had something stronger than fear. They had hope, and they were ready to deploy it. Asterisk, the Galactic Council betrayed Earth, and the galaxy watched humanity deploy in the silence after betrayal. All eyes turned to Earth. It was raining outside the Sky Dome on the orbital learning station. But inside, Captain Elion sat quietly by the observation glass. We watched the droplets slide across the transparent shield that kept the artificial weather in and the cold space out. The stars beyond didn't move. They only watched like silent witnesses. Elion missed his brother, Kalen. Kalen had been transferred to the deep systems after Earth was pushed out of the Galactic Council. The Council didn't trust Earth anymore. They said Earth was developing too fast and spreading influence where it wasn't asked. Without a trial, Earth was banned. Citizens were separated. Families were torn apart. Kalen was a diplomatic envoy. He had always believed in peaceful talks and cooperation. He'd spent years building friendships with other species. But after the Council's decision, he was relocated to a distant space colony under tight Council control. And Elion hadn't heard from him since. Every day, Elion checked the long-range signal log. Every day, it showed the same thing. No reply. He had sent dozens of messages. Kind ones, simple ones. A short recording of Earth's ocean waves. A soft song they used to sing when they were children. Photograph of the treehouse they built together. Still silence. He tried to stay strong. He had work to do. He was helping lead Earth's first wave of Arkship mission ships, filled not with weapons, but with medicine, technology, and peace. But sometimes, when he was alone, that distance hurt. "I just want to know he's okay," Elion whispered, his voice lost in the hum of the station. Other captains looked to him for strength, but he was tired of pretending. He missed Kalen, not just as a brother, but as someone who reminded him why Earth had always believed in better. Then, something strange happened. One evening, a quiet message came through on a deep channel. It wasn't clear. It was broken, scrambled, weak, but it was there. Elion sat up quickly and called the engineers. "Try to clean this signal," he said, heart racing. "Boost it. Filter the static. Whatever it takes." They've worked for hours. The message played in fragments. "Elion, I'm safe. Not allowed to speak openly. I've heard your messages. Thank you. Stay strong. Earth still matters. I believe in the mission. Proud of you." It was Kalen. Elion closed his eyes. Relief swept through him. It wasn't much. Enough to know his brother hadn't forgotten. Enough to know he was still out there believing, hoping, watching. Elion stood taller the next day. He walked into the Arkship command hall with a new light in his eyes. "Team, we're moving forward with full heart. The galaxy may have turned away, but we haven't. We've been pushed aside, but that doesn't mean we're broken. It means we have space to build something new." The young officers listened closely. "We don't need power to matter. We need purpose," he continued. "Every aid package we deliver, every station we repair, every life we help, that's how we speak now. That's how we remind the galaxy who Earth really is." There were no loud cheers, just quiet nods. That was enough. Later that week, as Arkship Horizon left the station, Elion stood on the bridge and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Kalen was watching too. "Wait for me," he whispered. "I'll find a way." In the darkness of space, Earth didn't rise with fire. It rose with care. It rose with messages, with help, with small lights in far-off places. One by one, abandoned colonies began to send thank you signals. One by one, small stations played Earth's songs again. And somewhere deep within the Council's tightly sealed worlds, quiet hearts began to shift. Earth hadn't fought back with force. It hadn't shouted. It had simply continued to care, because that's what humanity did best. They kept going. They kept loving. They kept trying, even when they didn't know how, even when no one answered back. They still hoped. They still believed. And in the end, the galaxy noticed. The Galactic Council betrayed Earth, and the galaxy watched humanity deploy. Humanity's answer wasn't war. It was movement. The spaceport buzzed with quiet activity as engineers, doctors, and diplomats boarded the Ark ship Kindred Dawn. It was the third Ark ship to launch from Earth, and its mission was simple: reach the lost colonies, offer help, and listen. No weapons. No threats. Just hope in the form of people. On the upper deck, Mira adjusted her badge and walked slowly toward her station. She was a communication officer, trained to connect across languages, cultures, and systems. Yeah, but her heart wasn't fully here today. It was stuck somewhere else, a quiet moon called Arthon Prime. That was where Un had been sent. 2 years ago, he wasn't just a colleague. He had been more, a close friend, maybe even something deeper, though they had never said the words. He had been reassigned right before Earth's removal from the Galactic Council. And since then, Mira hadn't heard a single word from him. She had tried. Every message she sent came back undelivered. Every signal she bounced toward. Arthon Prime was blocked. UN had always loved peace talks, always believed in slow, thoughtful change. He said humanity could be a bridge between old worlds and new ones. When the Council cut ties with Earth, Mira had imagined him sitting in silence too, wondering if he'd ever hear from home again. Now she was leaving Earth without knowing if. He even remembered her. She stood by the viewing deck, watching the last rays of sunlight flicker across the launch field. Families waved. Flags of Earth flew quietly in the breeze. Her hand tightened on the railing. "Are you okay?" Someone asked gently beside her. It was Commander Rahim, the ship's second officer. "I'm fine," Mira said. But her voice didn't sound convincing. "You're thinking about someone," Rahim said kindly. "A lot of us are. We all lost." "Someone when the Council turned away?" Mira nodded. "He's out there, on Arthon Prime. I just don't know if he's safe. I don't know if he still believes in us." Rahim looked out at the sky. "Then let's give him something to believe in." Those words stayed with her as the Kindred Dawn lifted from Earth and began its long journey. The ship traveled for weeks, visiting small moons and isolated stations. Everywhere they went, people looked shocked to see them. Most expected silence from Earth, some expected anger. But instead, Earth's people arrived with clean water tech, small libraries, healing drones, and musical records. "We didn't come to lecture," Mira told one alien leader. "We came to ask, how can we help?" At night, when her shift ended, Mira sat in her quiet quarters and recorded new messages for UN. She knew they might never reach him, but she sent them anyway. "Hi, UN," she whispered in one. "Today, we helped a station restart its power core. Their kids smiled when we played Earth music. It reminded me of when you danced so badly at the peace reception, remember?" In another message, she said, "I don't know if you're allowed to speak back, but I'm still here, still hoping, still waiting." One night, the ship docked at a long-abandoned trade outpost. While the engineers worked to restore power, Myra scanned for any open frequencies. Most were dead. Then, a week. Ping came through one line of text from Arthon Prime, just 4 words. "Still listening." "Still here?" Mira gasped. Her fingers trembled as she replied, "I missed you. Are you okay?" I pause. "Then I'm fine. They watch us, but I remember. I believe, and I'll wait." Tears welled in Mira's eyes. She pressed her hand to her chest. Un hadn't forgotten. He hadn't stopped believing, and now neither would she. She showed the message to Commander Rahim. He smiled. "That's what these Ark ships are for," he said. "To remind the galaxy, we haven't gone silent. We're still reaching out." The Kindred Dawn moved on, carrying more than supplies. It carried stories. It carried hope. And as word spread, more messages came in from places thought lost, from people once silenced, from voices that still remembered Earth. Not because Earth shouted, but because Earth showed up. Because Earth didn't let heartbreak stop them from helping. Because even when they felt alone, they kept going. That was the spirit of humanity. Not fire, but quiet light, moving. Always hoping, always deploying. Asterisk, the Galactic Council betrayed Earth, and the galaxy watched humanity deploy while the Council turned its back. Earth. Reached out, Juno stepped onto the dusty ground of Polaris Station, a quiet outpost far from the main travel lanes. The wind carried fine orange sand across the surface. The building stood worn and faded under the weak sunlight. It had been years since anyone from the Galactic Council visited this place, but Earth had not forgotten. Juno was a humanitarian, officer assigned to Arcship Solace 1. Her job was to lead recovery efforts on abandoned or struggling worlds. She had seen many places like this, quiet, broken, and filled with people who had stopped hoping for help. But this time, it felt different, because this was where Aline had lived. Aline. The friend she had shared everything with: dreams, studies, long walks under Earth's moon. They both joined the Spacefront program together. But when the Council divided them, Aline was sent to Polaris on a long-term contract. Then, after Earth was removed from the Council, all communication was blocked. Juno had sent letters, notes, even an old photo of them smiling near the launch ring. No reply ever came. She thought about Aline all the time. Wondered if she was still here. Wondered if she was okay now. She had finally arrived. Juno walked slowly through the old marketplace. People watched her with quiet eyes. Some looked curious. Others looked tired. But no one looked angry. Gave her courage. At the center of the station, a small school stood with broken windows. Her team set to work rebuilding solar panels, repairing computers, and restocking the learning room with new books and language kits. One small girl came up to Juno and asked, "Are you from Earth?" Juno nodded. "Yes," the girl smiled. "My teacher talks about Earth. She says your people care." Juno's heart skipped. "Who's your teacher?" she asked gently. "Miss Aline," the girl said. Juno froze. Aline was here, still teaching, still helping, still caring. She wanted to run, to find her, but her feet didn't move. What would she say? Would Aline be angry that she had taken so long? Would she even want to see her? That night, under the soft dome lights of the rebuilt school, Juno sat alone near the garden bed her team had replanted. She looked up at the stars and let herself whisper her thoughts. "I miss you, Aline," she said. "I don't know if you'll even want to see me now. I just wanted you to know I never stopped trying." She didn't know that someone had heard her the next morning as the sun rose over the orange dunes. A figure walked across the field, toward the school. Juno turned when she heard the steps. It was her, Aline. Her hair was tied back, and her uniform was worn, but her eyes were still the same, deep, thoughtful, and kind. They stood silently for a moment. Then Aline smiled softly. "You always did talk to the stars," she said. Juno laughed, and her voice cracked with emotion. "I didn't know if you were still here," she said. "I didn't know if you'd come," Aline replied. They hugged. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic, but it was full of all the words they never got to say. Later, they sat on the steps of the school. "I sent messages," Juno said. "Dozens of them." "I know," Aline replied. "The Council filtered everything, but I saved every piece of memory I had of you. I kept hoping one day Earth would come back, that you would come back." Juno nodded. "We never stopped caring." Aline looked around at the new panels, the clean classrooms, the children learning again. "I can see that." The people of Polaris Station gathered in the following days. They came with questions, with pain, and with stories. Juno's team didn't try to lead. They listened. They helped. And they reminded the station what it felt like to be seen. Word of the repair efforts spread. A nearby mining colony sent a message. "We heard Earth is helping again. Can you come here next?" Juno smiled. They would go, because that's what humanity did. Even when doors closed. Even when friends were far away. Even when the galaxy turned. It's back. Earth kept walking forward, one small step at a time. Not with pride, but with purpose. Not with anger, but with kindness. And all across the forgotten edges of the stars, people began to whisper the same thing. Earth is coming. Earth remembers. The Galactic Council betrayed Earth and the galaxy. Watched humanity deploy, the Council began to notice the change. On the floating city of Lysera, far beyond Earth's reach, Kira stood at the balcony of the diplomatic tower. The sky above was pale blue, but her thoughts were heavy and distant. She missed her father. He had lived on Earth. He had raised her there until she was 10. But after the Council's decision to separate from Earth, she was taken away to Lysera, the capital of the Council's inner ring. Her father stayed behind. Now, 12 years had passed. He was still on Earth, and Kira was still here an assistant in the Council's communications wing. She had written hundreds of messages over the years. Birthday wishes, poems, letters full of questions. She never got a reply. Every message was blocked by the system. Earth is no longer part of our communication web, the supervisors would say coldly. It didn't stop her from trying. Now for the first time in years, something had changed. Whispers filled the halls of the tower. Arc ships from Earth were appearing on forgotten worlds. They weren't attacking, they were healing. Helping, teaching, people were talking. Even in quiet meetings, some council members were worried. They're winning hearts. They're doing what we promised but failed to do. They've become the symbol of care. Kira listened quietly in the back of the chamber. Her heart beat faster. Was her father part of it? Was he one of the voices? One of the helpers? Did he still think of her? That night, Kira sat alone in the archives. She found a secure terminal, one not connected to the Council's main system. She opened a blank screen, and she typed one message. Dear Dad, I don't know if you'll ever see this. I'm on Lysera. I'm safe, but I miss you. Never stopped thinking of Earth. I never stopped thinking of you. I see what Earth is doing now. It makes me proud, and it makes me sad. Sad that I'm not there with you. Proud that you're still trying. If this message finds you, please write back. I still remember the way you looked up at the stars and said, distance means nothing when love is strong. I hope that's still true. Kira. She saved the file and uploaded it to a hidden beacon frequency, one of the few that wasn't tracked. She hit send, and she waited. Days passed, then weeks. No answer. But something else came. Earth's Arcship Unity Reach arrived at the nearby moon of Alestra supply world near Lysera. The Council tried to stop the landing, but the people of Alestra welcomed them. Kira took a quiet shuttle to the moon, dressed in simple clothing to avoid attention. She needed to see for herself. When she arrived at the landing site, her breath caught. There, standing near the Earth Aid tent, was a man with soft eyes and gray hair. Her father, he was helping children stack food boxes. He smiled gently as he worked. Kira's feet didn't move. She was afraid. What if he didn't recognize her? What if he didn't want to see her? But then he turned, and he froze. Their eyes met. He dropped the box. Kira, he whispered. She ran into his arms. 12 years melted away. He held her tightly, and his voice trembled. You found me. I've been looking for you my whole life, she whispered. They sat together, under the stars, telling stories, sharing memories, and wiping tears that wouldn't stop falling. Her father looked older, more tired, but he was still the same, still gentle, still brave. I sent you messages, he said softly. I know, Kira replied. They never reached me, but your heart did. I never gave up hope, he nodded. That's what Earth is teaching. Now, he said, that hope is stronger than walls. That kindness speaks louder than fear. Word of Kira's visit reached the Council. Some tried to shame her, but others began to question everything. If a Council assistant could reunite with her father, if Earth could reach people, the Council forgot. Then maybe Earth wasn't a problem. Maybe it was the answer. In hidden rooms and quiet homes, people began to listen to Earth signals, music, stories, messages of peace. The Council had tried to silence Earth, but Earth had never stopped speaking. It had spoken with action, with compassion, and now the galaxy was starting to reply. One voice at a time, one heart at a time. Because humanity didn't quit. They reached out to Devon in silence. They remembered Devon in pain, and they loved Devon across the stars. Asterisk. The Galactic Council betrayed Earth, and the galaxy watched humanity deploy. Humanity's mission grew larger than themselves. Ilara sat at the edge of a rooftop. Garden on the rebuilt Earth Embassy on the moon of Virilon. Flowers swayed gently in the filtered wind and beyond them. The stars flickered like old memories. She held a small silver pendant in her hand. A gift from Ryle. Ryle was her closest friend and once, maybe more than a friend. They had met during a language exchange program before the Council broke ties with Earth. Ryle was from a small aquatic world, gentle and thoughtful. They shared stories, culture, dreams of peace, but then everything fell apart. The Council declared Earth too disruptive. All programs shut down. All alien partners were ordered home. Ryle left without saying goodbye. No letter, no message, just silence. Ilara didn't blame them. It wasn't Ryle's choice. But that didn't stop the ache in her heart. She missed the sound of Ryle's voice, the way they spoke slowly when learning new Earth words, the way they laughed at the smell of coffee, but always asked for a second cup. After Earth was pushed out, Ilara joined the Free Stars Forum, a new space built by Earth for voices ignored or forgotten. She became one of its earliest translators, helping different species speak to one another again. But even in this good work, she felt something missing. A quiet space where Ryle used to be. One day, the forum held its largest gathering yet.
Delegates
from over 50 systems arrived, many who had once been silenced by the Council. The goal was not to argue, but to listen. Ilara stood on stage, translating for two opposing groups who hadn't spoken in decades. Her voice was calm, her words careful, and in the crowd she saw someone familiar. A blue scarf, a quiet tilt of the head. RYL. Her breath caught. She lost focus for a second, but quickly recovered. She finished the session and stepped away, her heart racing. She searched the crowd, but Ryle had disappeared. Had it really been them? That night, she walked alone in the garden again, stars above, silence around. She held the pendant tightly. "I don't know if it was you," she whispered, "but I wish you'd come back, even just for a moment." The next morning, she found a small note left on her desk. "Your voice hasn't changed." I remembered it right away. "I didn't know if I should speak. Was afraid you might not want to see me. But I listened. I always listened." Ilara smiled through quiet tears. She wrote back, "I never stopped wanting to see you. I never stopped hoping." She left it where she found the first note. Later that evening, as the forum gathered again, someone gently touched her arm. It was Ryle. They stood quietly at first. "There's no need for grand words." Then Ryle said, "You never stopped." "Using your voice to help others?" Ilara answered. "Because someone once taught me how important listening is." Ryle smiled. "We have much to catch up on." In the days that followed, Ilara and Ryle met often. They walked through gardens, talked softly under stars, and laughed again over tea and shared stories. Ryle had spent years working in silence, secretly guiding small colonies who felt abandoned. They had always followed Earth's broadcasts, listening to music, learning from Earth scientists, and waiting for a sign that Earth had not given up now. They saw that Earth hadn't just returned, it had created a space for everyone, the free stars. The forum became a place where stories mattered, where forgotten people had voices again, where peace was not a word, but an action. Ilara stood at the center of it all, not as a hero, but as a bridge, and Ryle stood beside her, across the galaxy. More systems began to notice. The forum broadcasted talks in every language. It held music, nights, storytelling sessions, healing workshops, and shared blueprints for farming machines and clean water. There were no banners, no threats, no demands, just kindness and care and voices rising, because Earth had chosen not to fight with weapons. They fought with understanding. They answered betrayal with unity. They turned silence into connection, and in that choice humanity didn't just stand tall, they lifted others. Somewhere on a quiet world, a young child watched a broadcast from the forum. They turned to their mother and asked, "Who are those people?" The mother smiled and said, "They're from Earth. They help others speak when no one else listens." And the child whispered, "I want to be like them." The Galactic Council betrayed Earth, and the galaxy watched humanity deploy. Humanity's mission grew larger than themselves. Ilara sat at the edge of a rooftop garden on the rebuilt Earth Embassy on the moon of Viralon. Flowers swayed gently in the filtered wind, and beyond them, the stars flickered like old memories. She held a small silver pendant in her hand, a gift from Rael. Rael was her closest friend, and once, maybe more than a friend, they had met during a language exchange program before the Council broke ties with Earth. Rael was from a small aquatic world, gentle and thoughtful. They shared stories, culture, dreams of peace, but then everything fell apart. The Council declared Earth too disruptive. All programs shut down. All alien partners were ordered home. Rael left without saying goodbye. No letter, no message, just silence. Ilara didn't blame them. It wasn't Rael's choice. But that didn't stop the ache in her heart. She missed the sound of Rael's voice, the way they spoke slowly when learning new Earth words, the way they laughed at the smell of coffee, but always asked for a second cup after Earth was pushed out. Ilara joined the Free Stars Forum, a new space built by Earth for voices ignored or forgotten. She became one of its earliest translators, helping different species speak to one another again. But even in this good work, she felt something missing, a quiet space where Rael used to be. One day, the forum held its largest gathering yet. Delegates from over 50 systems arrived, many who had once been silenced by the Council. The goal was not to argue but to listen. Ilara stood on stage, translating for two opposing groups who hadn't spoken in decades. Her voice was calm, her words careful, and in the crowd she saw someone familiar. A blue scarf, a quiet tilt of the head. Ryl, her breath caught. She lost focus for a second, but quickly recovered. She finished the session and stepped away, her heart racing. She searched the crowd, but Rael had disappeared. Had it really been them? That night, she walked alone in the garden again. Stars above, silence around. She held the pendant tightly. "I don't know if it was you," she whispered, "but I wish you'd come back, even just for a moment." The next morning, she found a small note left on her desk. "Your voice hasn't changed. I remembered it right away. I didn't know if I should speak. I was afraid you might not want to see me, but I listened. I always listened." Our Ilara smiled through quiet tears. She wrote back, "I never stopped wanting to see you. I never stopped hoping." She left it where she found the first note. Later that evening, as the forum gathered again, someone gently touched her arm. It was Rael. They stood quietly at first. No need for grand words. Then Rael said, "You never stopped using your voice to help others?" Lara answered, "Because someone once taught me how important listening is." Rael smiled. "We have much to catch up on." In the days that followed, Ilara and Rael met often. They walked through gardens, talked softly under stars, laughed again over tea, and shared stories. Rael had spent years working in silence, secretly guiding small colonies who felt abandoned. They had always followed Earth's broadcasts, listening to music, learning from Earth's scientists, and waiting for a sign that Earth had not given up. Now, they saw that Earth hadn't just returned. It had created a space for everyone. The Free Stars Forum became a place where stories mattered, where forgotten people had voices again, where peace was not a word, but an action. Ilara stood at the center of it all, not as a hero, but as a bridge, and Rael stood beside her, across the galaxy. More systems began to notice. The forum broadcasted talks in every language. It held music, nights, storytelling sessions, healing workshops, and shared blueprints for farming machines and clean water. There were no banners, no threats, No demands, just kindness and care, and voices rising because Earth had chosen not to fight with weapons. They fought with understanding. They answered betrayal with unity. They turned silence into connection. And in that choice, humanity didn't just stand tall, they lifted others. Somewhere on a quiet world, a young child watched a broadcast from the forum. They turned to their mother and asked, "Who are those people?" The mother smiled and said, "They're from Earth. They help others speak when no one else listens." The child whispered, "I want to be like them." The Galactic Council betrayed Earth, and the galaxy watched humanity deploy. And finally, Earth returned, not as a member, but as a symbol. The great station of Orion Prime floated at the heart of the galaxy, a bright circle of metal and glass. Once the proud meeting place of the Galactic Council, it had been quiet since Earth's removal. Many halls were empty. The Council's voice had grown thin, while Earth's quiet actions spread far. Now, something was different. A new ship approached. The Ark ship Concord, not with weapons, but with delegates. Not to demand, but to speak. Inside the ship, Amira stood. Near the viewing glass, looking out at the giant station ahead. She had never been here before, but her mother had. Her mother was once Earth's representative at the Council, when Earth was betrayed. Her mother stayed behind to protest, but was silenced, locked out, and never allowed to speak again. She died in silence. Far from home, Amira had carried her mother's last words for years. Return when you are strong, not with force, but with light. Now that moment had come, but Amira's heart was heavy. She felt far away from the one person who would have understood this moment. "I wish you were here," she whispered. She walked to the quiet room where Earth's delegates waited. Around her were voices from other systems, not just humans, but aliens who had been helped by Earth. Each one had come to speak. Not for Earth, but with Earth. That was the difference. When the Ark ship docked, the Council gave no welcome. There were no flags, no greetings, just silent halls and cold eyes. But Earth stepped forward. Anyway, Amira led the way. She stood in the central chamber and looked at the Council seats, many of which were now empty. "I am not here to ask for your permission, Amira," began, her voice calm but steady. "Earth came to this Council once with open hands and was cast out, but we did not stop." She paused. "We reached the forgotten. We healed the broken. Listened to those you silenced. We did it not for power, but because it was right." A few Council members shifted uncomfortably. Behind Amira, leaders from over 60 systems stood in quiet support. "We are not here for revenge," she said. "We are here because the galaxy is not yours to rule alone. It belongs to all of us. And Earth has chosen to share, to lift, to connect." One Council member, an elder from a cold water world, leaned forward. "Why come now?" he asked. "Why return after all this time?" Amira took a breath. "Because we still believe in something better. We came back not for ourselves, but for those who were left behind. And because we still miss the ones we lost." Her voice trembled slightly at the end. She looked up, eyes wet. "I lost my mother here. She believed in peace. She believed in this Council. Though you pushed her away, she never stopped hoping we would return. Not with anger, but with hope." The hall fell silent. Then, slowly, another voice spoke. Not a Council member, but a young diplomat from a planet the Council had ignored. "We support Earth." Another followed, and another, until the chamber was filled not with arguments, but with voices from across the stars. Later that night, Amira stood alone again at the window. She held a small recording in her hand, her mother's final message. Saved years ago. "If they turn you away, let your heart stay open. If they forget your name, remember your purpose. You are Earth's daughter. Earth stands by those who have no voice. You will be their light." She played it softly and let the words fill the silence. She felt closer to her mother than she had in years. The distance between them, between memory and now, didn't feel so wide anymore. The next morning, a new vote was taken. Not about Earth's return to the Council, but about rebuilding the seed, council itself, with new rules, new voices, a new promise to listen. Earth didn't ask for a seat, they asked for fairness, and the galaxy gave it. In a school, on a small moon, a teacher showed her students the broadcast. A little boy raised his hand and asked, "What? Why did Earth come back if they were hurt?" The teacher smiled and said, "Because Earth knows something special. Being kind is never a mistake. And hope travels farther than fear." The boy nodded. "I want to be like them," and so did many others. Because Earth hadn't just returned, they had reminded the stars what courage truly looked like. Asterisk. The Galactic Council betrayed Earth, and the galaxy watched humanity deploy. In the end, humanity didn't just survive. They changed everything. Leora stood on the balcony of her small home on the peaceful colony of New Dawn. The twin suns were setting, painting the sky with soft pink and orange. She held a small box in her hands, a gift she had kept for years. Inside was a letter from her mother. Her mother had lived on Earth, but after the Council's betrayal, she had been sent away to New Dawn. Far from home, they had been separated for many years. No messages came, no voices answered. Leora had felt lost, empty, but she never stopped hoping. She never stopped believing. When the Ark ships arrived, everything began to change. Earth's people came not with anger, but with kindness. They brought medicine to sick children. They taught farming in dry soil. They listened to stories of loss. Leora remembered the day when a gentle woman from Earth handed her the small box. "She asked me to give this to you when the time was right." The woman said softly. Leora opened the letter. Her mother's handwriting was shaky but full of love. Asterisk. "My dear Leora, I may be far,